What's going on, boys? Thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers. Subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. And today, the life stuff we're talking about today is what a tool I am. That contract work thing I was talking about, that too much money for me to ignore, not happening. Because I did everything I say you shouldn't do, and I know you shouldn't do, and I did it anyway, and I was proud of it. Fucking big dick negotiator, closing the deals. I negotiated a lose-lose, and I was proud of it. And now I'm sitting here, drinking vodka out of a Bakelite ass cup, and the only thought in my mind is, what a fucking tool you are. And I'm not going to give away details. I'm going to do what I always do, which is obscure details so nobody gets fucked over, while still allowing me to talk about the things I want to talk about. But I didn't sign the NDA. I ain't signed nothing. We're making that clear right now. I didn't sign shit. So let's go through this take by take. My first mistake: not getting every single thing in writing and not getting a contract immediately. You bought yourself a paid training period. That was the wording I used. No, you didn't. There is nothing that proves you bought yourself anything. What you bought yourself was a bunch of time and worrying and rescheduling that you will not be paid for. Because your stupid ass didn't get a contract, didn't get shit in writing from the very beginning. You should always get everything in writing from the very beginning. And I knew that. I knew that going in, and I didn't, because enough money was offered. I didn't want to risk it by coming across as too pushy. But the thing about loss or taking L's is you should never be concerned about potentially taking a loss by ensuring you're getting what you're owed. What you want, what you deserve, we hate that word, but getting something. Never be worried about potentially losing something, ensuring you are getting something out of this. Because if you don't take those measures, if you don't make sure, you will always lose. There is not a situation, at least in a professional setting, you come out okay trusting other people's good faith. You're stupid. You either potentially take the loss at the very beginning, or you certainly take a loss later. Nothing is stopping anyone from promising you the moon to get you to do something. You need a contract to ensure they deliver. And frankly, even if you have a contract, if you're broke, there's no certain way for you to get what they owe you contractually. But you can't give anyone any room, because they'll try to fuck you and get away with it if you do every single thing right. If you give them any room, if you give them anything they can take advantage of, you're making a losing battle a certain defeat. So at that first meeting, tons of red flags. I ignored them all. Before this, my point of contact canceled meetings a couple times at the last second. Then this meeting it wasn't scheduled. This was a spur of the moment thing. During a time I said absolutely I cannot meet. They wanted to do it then anyway, last minute, seemingly not caring. And taking losses with the shit I have in my hands, I was able to attend that meeting. Then point of contact shows up late, another bad sign. And during this entire meeting, there was nothing but assurances you will be paid, but then here are a bunch of things you will do. And then a bunch of nothing excitement corporate phony talk. And it was never specified what I would be paid for these additional things because I went into this meeting with a number already. So, based on this number, I'm going to assume that I'll be paid this amount for these additional things, but I didn't have a contract for the number I went in with, and I didn't have a contract, I didn't get a contract for this additional shit I was supposed to do and would assuredly be paid for. And then I did them, and I didn't get paid because there was no number. There was no contract. And then, over the next few days, I'm getting calls and emails at 7 in the morning and 9 at night, getting calls while I'm working at my proper job. And based on these smaller things we've been discussing and in certain cases I've been doing, I'm trying to work out what exactly this contract work will entail, what my responsibilities will be, what's my job description. And then as I'm learning more, brain blast, noggin jogging, I don't think I'm going to get paid this number based on the work I'm being asked to do unless my hourly rate is extraordinarily high. This is grunt work, not a lot of it, with a bunch of sociability bullshit piled on top of it. Pointless meetings, conversations at weird hours or hours I'm not supposed to be discussing any of this stuff, and nothing in my favor in writing. Nothing pro me about money in writing. Nothing about my responsibilities in writing, work guaranteed to me in writing, just things to do in writing. Everything else is happening verbally. And I had a bad vibe from the very beginning. You should always listen to your stupid fucking stomach. Your stomach isn't stupid, you're stupid for not listening to it. I wasn't beginning to get the feeling. I had the feeling from the very beginning. I was starting to listen to the feeling. This is not going the way I think it's supposed to. You keep canceling on me at the last second when we schedule something, and when we schedule something, it's usually the day before because I can't get you to schedule like a human being, like a professional, more than a couple days in advance. You're canceling all those at the last second. Then you're contacting me to speak or to meet out of the blue, out of nowhere, with no notice, and expecting me to conform to your schedule. And then when we do meet, every time you show up late, dressed like you don't give a fuck. Is that some cutesy shit? Or is this like a Western United States thing? Dressing like a fucking and expecting to be taken seriously? So it reaches a point I am about to be thrown in properly, but I still don't have an exact job description. I still don't know what I'm going to be paid or on what basis I'm going to be paid. I don't know who my workflow points of contact are. You've introduced me to 30 people and talked very excitedly, but I don't know what any of them do exactly. Other than, show up to work in a hoodie. I can't do a job if I don't know what job you want me to do, and I won't do a job, at least to this extent, unless I'm getting paid. Unless I know exactly how much money I'll be walking away from this contract with. So before we had our little more serious meeting, I put together some ideas and some numbers, some questions. I thought you were going to fuck me for a little bit of money, but it's beginning to seem like you're gonna fuck me for half the money. And that's still a good sum of money. I'm still okay with that, but if that's the case, then we need to establish some understandings. If you're paying me the full amount, then you can act like an obnoxious cocksucker all you want. You can call me when I'm sleeping, whenever you want. That's enough money. I'm willing to tolerate that for a while. If you aren't paying me that amount, then I am not inclined to accommodate you. If you're going to pay me half, then there are certain times you can call me. There are definitely certain times you can't call me. We need to get this scheduling bullshit sorted out. You aren't paying me enough to take this scheduling disrespect. I need to know exactly what I'm doing because, if you're paying me the full amount, then there's nothing I won't do. But if you're paying me half and you're trying to spring this on me, then there needs to be definites. These are the select number of things I'll be doing. This is the time frame I'll be doing them within, and these are the people I'll be speaking with to get these things done. So then we had one brief conversation in which, yes, they are trying to fuck me on money, but it's not going to be half what they promised. Well, I say promised, it's not in writing. It's going to be closer to a fourth. And that wasn't cool, and that prompted the proper coming to Jesus, let's get some shit sorted out meeting the next day. And I sent all these statements and questions, more questions than statements, because I still thought, fuck me, even if it's a fourth of what they promised. If I can set this up in a way that won't be miserable, that I understand what I'm doing, fuck it, I'll still do it. I still need the money. And then, and I specified in this email, I want this in writing. So what does my point of contact do? And maybe this is a good thing. Nothing's going to happen. This is the end of it. But specifies that, one, my point of contact didn't read the email, and two, my point of contact is going to call me right now instead of or sending me a response in writing. And it wasn't the friendliest phone call. Right off the bat, because I addressed the money thing, that's important, they pulled the exact shit you have a contract for. So we had the you'll get paid about a fourth conversation the day before. In this conversation, they asserted that I'll actually be paid closer to a fifth what was initially promised, and that's not a guarantee, that's a maximum. Maximum you will get paid a fifth of what we initially promised, and it won't be based on hours or based on a contract, a span of time. It'll be based on deliverables, which we'll get back to. And my point of contact was reading the email I sent to me. They didn't even take the time to read through everything I wrote. One of the requests was a clear set of responsibilities. Okay, I've heard the word deliverables used before, which is one of the reasons I'm trying to sort out this payment bullshit. What deliverables will I be delivering? What is my list of deliverables to deliver? Couldn't get that sorted out. On the phone, can't get a clear list of responsibilities. And this is apparently a position that's, well, we'll get back to that. Another question was, what time are you and your team available? What's an ideal window of time we can speak? Because this early morning, late at night shit and this random shit is not gonna fly if you're gonna pay me this little. My point of contact's response was, well, I work from 5 a.m. to midnight every day, which is a cute flex. That's so you're working 133 hours a week. You can't spend any of that time solidifying the work you're hiring someone to do. You can't spend that time maybe taking a class on time management. So you don't cancel shit at the last minute, show up late, need to wing it on everything while acting as if you have all these appointments scheduled. And used this flex to brush off my question. After a little pushing, the the answer came to within normal business hours. But again, that's not sure. Business hours is fine, but that's not a specific window if you're going to be paying someone this little. Can we set up a time to meet each week or to speak or to consult if you're going to be my point of contact for any of this shit? What time do you want me reporting into you? Or to getting approval on shit? Is it just random? Is everything about your life random? Is that why you need to hire someone like me right now? You fucking mess. I'm guessing what's happening is you fucked up and you're hiring someone like me, allegedly, and doing all this other, creative paradigm shifting shit at the last minute because you fucked up and you're trying to cover your ass and disguise the fact that you fucked up and this larger thing you're working on is going to be a disaster. Anywho, another question I asked, because part of what I would be doing is copywriting, and as it so happens, I care about my career. Do you know what I did? Do you know what I spent my time doing? I spent my time taking business classes. I took a search engine optimization class. Now, you're a hotshot. You mentioned you have an entire search engine optimization team. So that makes me wonder why I'm doing any copywriting online work if you have an entire team dedicated to this. But if I'm going to be doing this work and you have this team, can you let me know what, for what we're doing here, just what your primary keyword is? So when I'm writing my copy, I can work in tune with everything else you're doing online and not fuck everything up. Or if not fuck everything up, then at least make things a little better, work in harmony and concert with this entire operation. Just give me a primary keyword. Or put me in contact with someone who knows the primary keyword. You're fucking delegator person. You got 5 teams. I don't know what they're doing. Are they jerking off all day? In their fucking hoodies and sandals? What are they doing? Can you tell me whom I should speak with to make my work better for what you're trying to do? And despite this tangent, I think the actual wording of the question was, you mentioned you have a search engine optimization team. Can you tell me a little bit about your search engine strategy so I can write toward it or at least not step on toes? The answer was, we're a multi-million-dollar organization. Of course we have a search engine strategy. We have an entire search engine team, and you don't need to be worried about that. Which communicates to me, one, if you have the search engine team, you don't know what they do or why they do it. And you still haven't answered my question, so any of this copy I write will not be as good as it could be, and based on the energy I'm getting from you here, I'm going to hear about this from somebody else later, and that person is probably going to be you, and it's going to be a problem that we could have resolved right now, and you don't want to resolve it. Another question was, how do I know what we're going to do, or what I'm going to be doing? You mentioned I'll be working from this team calendar thing, and everybody's tasks or different groups' tasks will be on this calendar. Well, technically we're starting now. We've already started. And the calendar you sent me, because of course my point of contact did send me this calendar that they're so proud of, it's empty. There's nothing on it. The last update was, I think, February 21st or something. So you're telling me this calendar is going to tell me what I'm supposed to do, what everyone is supposed to do, and there's nothing on it. So, yes, that's a problem for me, because I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but that raises questions about what all your teams are doing. If this is the central calendar, and there's nothing on it other than TBA or some ideas, single word ideas with question marks next to them. What the fuck is everybody doing? And that one I got no answer for. Just some, again, corporate nothing speak. Just words, barely even structured together as sentences, on to the next thing. And then there were a few other things, but the last and final one was, can I get a contract now? Because if I don't have a contract, if I don't know how I'm going to be paid and what I'm going to be doing, then this isn't going to work for me. My point of contact's response was to ask me to write up my own contract. And apparently this isn't terribly uncommon, but this is all wrong for a few reasons. One, you've insisted I be paid by deliverables, which is not what we initially discussed. It wasn't even what we discussed a few days ago, but okay, you insist on the deliverables up to a maximum of the minimum amount I was going to get paid. But you haven't given me a list of deliverables, so I don't know how to price what each deliverable is worth, because I have no way to ensure I walk away with even close to what I need to walk away with to make all of this bullshit worthwhile. And beyond that, you haven't really answered any of my questions. You've said words, but none of those words were answers. So there's no way for me to structure this contract in a way that will ensure I'm doing only the work I need to be doing, or I'm supposed to be doing. And it seems like they don't know. It seems like they had a bunch of ideas for a bunch of work that needed to get done, which is why I came on, and it's been walked back to the point there's almost nothing, and what's there, I don't know what it is. So in writing my own contract, you want me to tell you what you want to hire me for. You want me to tell you what I'm to be paid for this work, and I don't know what work you want done, because you don't know what work you want done. So, respectfully, I'm cashing out. Well, not really cashing out, because I walk away from this with less than nothing. Part of me thinks what they were looking for was a scapegoat, to blame a lot of this horrible shit on. The way this is going to turn out, it's not going to turn out well. Well, to be clear, I don't know exactly what's going on here. Part of me thinks they wanted to bring in an outsider and keep them around so when everything fucked up, they could throw that outsider under the bus. And I think that's still what they're going to do, but I'm walking away early enough, and I have enough evidence. If I ever need to defend myself about this, I'll be able to. But still, that's a bullet coming in my direction. It's a 22 coming in my direction. 22 still stink, you don't want to get hit with one. Then another possible explanation is my point of contact found another person or knew somebody whom they could pay to do this work, and the longer they kept me around, I would need to get paid something, and any amount would be an amount taken away from this larger amount they could pay to this person they know. Everything is nepotism. That's a possible explanation. Another possible explanation is they smelled trouble. It must be an oil and water thing. I know I can see and prove, well, not prove thoroughly yet, but if you kept me around, I would be able to. The way you're running your department is nonsense. And you can see me as somebody who can do everything I just mentioned, and would be aggravated enough on principle to do it. So maybe this entire now pulling back thing is an attempt to ice me out to protect your position. The egotistical part of me wonders, well, this is all egotistical. The especially egotistical part of me wonders if there's an intimidation factor here. If I hate you and I don't even know you, I can't imagine how your team feels about you. I'm willing to bet you have some superiors who are not happy with you. And if you bring in somebody who does good work and can prove they do good work, and whose recommendations, which you've asked for, are not strictly related to the grunt work, but are more related to turning the management of this department into something a little more organized, a little more efficient, maybe that's intimidating. Maybe that's threatening to somebody who's insubstantial and coasting on this image they cultivate and can't keep their position without. Maybe that's part of it. Probably not, but it has happened before. I was a janitor when I first got out here. And maybe it's a mixture of all these things. I have a feeling accountability has a lot to do with it. Wherever I go, usually accountability follows because records hold people accountable. So many things can be forgotten or misremembered or just remembered. Hard records are a different story. But now basically I'm roostering to soothe my hurt ego because I'm not going to get the money I wanted. I got my time wasted by the exact sort of person who annoys me. Nothing is going to be done about it, and I'll probably take some, on a scale of 1 to 10, probably 2 social flack for this. I'll take flack because you're incompetent. You're a sack of shit. But you know what the damnedest thing of all is, and why this video is titled what it is? I have nobody to blame but myself. My optimistic self, my hopeful self, my trusting self. These are some Bene Gesserit, is it Missionaria Protectiva? Missionaria Protectiva shit. These traits have been embedded in you. You've been programmed to view them as positive, so predators can take advantage of you easier. And you're supposed to be above these things. You're supposed to know better, and you do know better, but you can't change the fact you're a stupid, weak, hopeful, egotistical little animal. You got fucked because you thought you were finally getting what you deserved. You thought you were finally getting the money and recognition you deserved. Even just a taste of it. I'm a tool because I've spent a few years preparing not to let myself get into a situation like this, or to be put in a situation like this. And despite all that, despite everything I've learned, despite everything I know, not only did I end up in a situation like this, but also, worse, I put myself in a situation like this, and I was bragging about it because it made me feel like the smart, calculating guy I want to feel like I am. And that's not what I am. And we can say this a bunch. I know this. I know I'm not what I present myself to be. I know I'm not what I want to imagine myself to be. And we make efforts not just to remind other people, but also to remind myself of that. But damn, you really are nothing other than an egotistical, wanting to feel like you are somebody little cocksucker. And you wanted to feel like you were this person, this idealized version of yourself so badly, you convinced a predator to fuck you. You know, they would have fucked somebody else, but no, you You needed to feel like you had reached a level you could make it. You needed to feel that way so badly, you convinced them to fuck you. And now you have the nerve to feel like you've been slighted. You put yourself in this situation, there's nobody to blame but yourself. And I want you, the viewer, to remember that. You probably already know I'm a tool. You've known I'm a tool for years. Here is the smoking gun. And you know this one is a bad feeling, an actual bad feeling, because even with all this eating the bullet so somebody else can't shoot you shit I'm doing right now, which is what this entire video is. It's not just ranting. This entire video, this entire talking shit about myself shit, is an ego self-defense. It still stings. I am still somewhat soft sad about all this. I finally get to deploy my Sopranos viewing. It's like the fever dream. The fish. Big pussy. You knew, Tony. You knew. No matter what you say, think, or feel, on some level you know, and ultimately, it's your fault you didn't listen. We'll cut it here because there's nothing else to say, and there is more drinking but don't getting drunking to do this evening. And I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna relapse into alcoholism. I've figured out how to drink occasionally when you're an alcoholic. You drink just enough you can feel the depressant effects. You can feel sad without actually getting to enjoy even a buzz. That's how you drink. You aren't drinking to get drunk. You are drinking just enough to be mildly but pervasively miserable. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.